Filters may be used to strip out unrealistic results before your Monte Carlo simulation is analyzed. On the left part of the screen here, I have my inputs for a momentum analysis. On the right side are my results, V1, V2, delta V1, delta V2, PDOF1, and PDOF2. If we look at the results for delta V1, I'm going to select all the data here, and we look down on the bottom, we see that the minimum delta V is 24, and the max is 49 miles per hour. But let's say that we have an EDR in that car, and the EDR tells us that the actual delta V of the car was between 35 and 40 miles per hour. So what we will do is set a filter and filter out all the results in which delta V1 is not in between 35 and 40 miles per hour. So first I'm going to click on my first result here for delta V1, and I'll come up on the ribbon and click on Filter Simulation. My variable to filter is pre-populated with the cell that I selected before executing the filter command. Now I have a choice of filter source. Do I want to use a user-defined value, or do I want to use column from simulation? In this case, we're going to use a user-defined value because we have the EDR telling us that this delta V should be between 35 and 40 miles an hour. We'll come back and look at the column from simulation later. So I'm going to click on Keep User-Defined Value Selected, and I'm going to choose on the filter type is between, and I'll put in a 35 on the minimum and 40, and I'll click OK. Once that dialog box disappears, I need to scroll all the way over, and we'll see the filter results over here. We can tell that the results have been filtered because all the headings here have been repeated, but there's a star, there's an asterisk next to each heading, and that tells us that this data set has been filtered. If we need to refer back sometime later and say, well, what filter was used, we go look for the note in the data set to the left, and the note you can see here is this cell M in M2, and if we hover our mouse over that red mark over here, we see that we used a filter between 35 and 40 miles an hour. So here's my data set, and then we can go do an analysis with this. We can click on V1 and we can go click Calculate Results, and that would give us the results of our Monte Carlo simulation, but with the filtered data. Multiple filters may be used. So far we filtered out data for delta V between 35 to 40 miles per hour. But let's say we also know that the impact speed for vehicle 1 was between 45 to 55 miles an hour. We could have also gotten that from the EDR. So we can use another filter, and I'll go ahead and click on my V1 because that's what I'm going to filter. I'll go click on Filter Simulation, and I'm going to use again a user-defined value, and we're going to use is between, and I'm going to select 45 to 55 miles an hour, click OK. Now we go all the way to the right again, and you'll notice our new data set has been filtered twice, and we can tell that because we have two asterisks next to each heading. And again, I can refer back to the data set to the left, and we see the filter is between 45 and 55. And we can apply as many filters as we want. There is no limit. Now let's try one more filter. Let's say that we know that V2 is less than V1. So I want to go through each of these columns with a filter and check to see if V2 is less than V1. So I can't just put a user-defined value in there because that value is always changing. So I'm going to click on V2 as we want to filter out V2. We want to say that V2 is less than V1, or we could also do it the other way around and say that V1 is greater than V2. But let's just say that V2 is less than V1. So I'll click on my filter simulation. And now instead of a user-defined value, I'm going to click on user from simulation. Notice when I do that, my boxes down here got grayed out. When I click back on user-defined value, I get these boxes back. So now I have to click the first cell in column from simulation. So what do I want to compare this cell to? I want to compare it to this one. So here's my variable to filter, Z3. My column from simulation starts at Y3. And I want to make sure that this one is less than this one. So I'm going to keep this as less than or equal to. My other option is greater than or equal to. We cannot select in between. All right. In between is disabled. So we're going to click is less than or equal to. I click OK. And now we move over to the right. And we see the results of our third filter. And we know that because we have 3 asterisks. And we notice now that in this column, V2 is always less than V1. You'll also note that if we go look at the filter note, we go back to the data set directly to the left, hover over that cell, and it tells us the filter is less than or equal to Y3. So that would be this cell here. The main exclamation point is just telling us that we're on the main sheet. You can see the main sheet down here. That's all that means. So that's it for filters.